coming off a super disappointing loss. Probably in my mind, one of the worst losses in my career. Just very, very disappointing loss. With that, though, as much disappointment I have in a loss, super excited for this opportunity to play against a great Texas football team, one of the blue bloods in college football. Um, Coach Sarkisian, one of the best coaches in college, great coaching staff. I mean, a ton of five-star players, guys that are going to get drafted, a roster full of future NFL players. Um, Potential Heisman Trophy candidate. Playing there at their place, a state that reveres football from high school football up into college and to the NFL. For many years I recruited the state of Texas, and football is everything there, and the university and that state is Texas, and so we're excited to go there. We're gonna have to play our very best to even have a shot, and they have a chance to compete against these guys. Um, they're, like I said, the coaches, elite coaches. Coach Flood, who's offensive coordinator, was a head coach at Rutgers. One of the best O-line coaches in the country. Really good football coach. Coach Pete and Johnny. The guys on defense, the defense side of the ball. Some of the best coaches in the country. Dwayne Aquina, who's back there, was at Arizona. Went back to Arizona for a couple of years at Stanford, many places, but in the college football world, anybody that knows anything about coaching knows that Dwayne Aquina is one of the best, not only defensive minds, but probably the best corner coach or secondary coach in the country. It's going to be a tough game, and we recognize. I was looking at it and realized the last time we played him in 2017. Hopefully, the score doesn't look like that again. But it's the teams that this is a team of got a chance to go to the playoffs, and so that we're playing. So we're gonna have to play lights out to even have a shot. With that said, any questions?
Yeah, Coach, there's a lot of talk about the mental space to get the players and the coaches into, and the mental strategy. And when you're out there and you're playing, are there some things you're looking at in that kind of, religion, football religion, and you're seeing in the guy's eyes? Are you looking for certain cues that you might not look for, like say in a regular game?
You're talking about coming into this game, or just
coming into
in
this
the game in general?
Against in the environment of being in Texas, and the environment of being with a top nation.
Yeah, I think first and foremost we got to get ready. I mean, they are who they are. There's nothing we can do about them. You know what I mean? They're, like I said, really good football team. We just got to prepare the best we can and do the best we can to get ready to give it our best shot. And that's, the old adage, old saying, control the controllables. That's all we can control. Just our effort, our preparation, and we'll go and give it our best shot. You know what I mean? But I don't really, once you're in the game, you got to go. You know what I mean? Well, while in your game, you're going. Hopefully, you've done enough prior to that to kind of get your guys ready. But, you know, there's also the adage that confidence comes with preparation. And so hopefully, we'll prepare well enough to go give it our best shot. And, that's all we're focused on right now.
And as a former quarterback, and you saw some of the things with Walker, and how much do you, or just any of the coaches, help or just pull away, let him stand alone, and how much? There's a kind of a balance there, it seems like.
Yeah, there definitely is a balance. I think Craig Stutzmann is one of the best offensive minds, offensive coordinators in the country, quarterback coach. And he does a really good job with the quarterbacks. And, I go to their meetings a lot. I'm in their meetings a lot. And so he's, phenomenal football coach. And so you got to give coach his space to coach them. But, I interject when I see fit or, when I think it's appropriate. It is a balance. But I am who I am. I always speak the truth to people. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. Sometimes that's a barbecue. Sometimes it's a quick pat on the butt, to keep going. But it's always telling you the truth. That's not good enough. Get your eyes right. Get where you're supposed to look. You can do better. We're counting on you. And I still have the utmost faith in Walker. He'll be the first to tell you he didn't play very well. But anybody that's ever played sports, any great quarterback or any quarterbacks played. You have your good games, you have your bad games, and that wasn't one of his better games. But I've seen him do great things and good things, and my faith in him hasn't wavered at all. The focus has been okay. How do we get him right? And I trust Coach Stutz to do that. I trust Walker, and I'll just share this. I mean, just it shows you the type of kid this kid is. But he texted me like at 1:30 in the morning, you know, Saturday morning, or after our game on Friday night, just texted me just like him taking accountability for the loss, that he'll play better, that and all this stuff, and I just responded back. I don't doubt that one iota. I don't worry about that. You're our quarterback. You're a leader. You'll bounce back. We're counting on you to bounce back. I told him I loved him, and we'll just keep pressing forward. I mean, it's a tough position, and you can't play that position unless you got thick skin and just keep pressing forward. You know what I mean? You know, to that same light, I can't imagine what you know their quarterback's going through some stuff. I mean, they opened up at Ohio State, and people are ready to talking all these things about Arch. Man, it was one game. It was a close battle in their game with Ohio State. They had every opportunity to win, and you know the kid's a really good quarterback. I really feel good about Walker, and so is their quarterback. Obviously, he's a phenomenal quarterback, but it's the nature of the position.
Nicky Rice with KSJS. Coach Stutzmann talked about just preparing for this game and pumping up the speakers and just getting ready for that environment. Just I guess talk about the exposure that it gives kind of to your underclassmen or just some of the other players on your team that really haven't been exposed to an SEC environment that Texas provides.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're going to get exposed stuff, but that's not my thought process. We got to get ready the best we can for this. It's not trying to get people exposure. We recognize this is going to be a tough environment. Uh, Playing against who we're playing, not and then you add on that, like you said, the crowd factor. With 100,000 fans, that's tough. The players themselves. If we played their players in an empty parking lot, that'd be tough. I mean, they're really good, and like I said, they have the best coaches in the country. And then with their fan base, yeah, it's gonna be tough. But we're preparing not so much to try to expose guys to stuff, just preparing to give it our best shot.
Hey, Coach Niles with the Spear here. With all your experience in college football, have you ever coached in a game that matched the level of intensity and talent as Texas?
Can you ask that question one more time?
With all your experience in college football, have you ever played in a game or coached in a game that matched the level of talent and intensity that Texas brings?
Um, you know, this is probably one of the best teams that I've ever played. I mean, they got a ton of and future NFL players. But I mean, every year at the Naval Academy, played Notre Dame. They weren't too bad. I've been to the Horseshoe, and coached against Ohio State a few times. They weren't too bad either. Been to South Carolina, we had Javian Clowney, and they had, their defense. I think had Melvin was a linebacker. I mean, they had 3 or 4 All-Pro guys on their starting defender, receiver. It was when Coach Spurrier was there, and so I've been coaching a long time. I've been some places and coached against some tough teams.
And then after looking at last week's tape, what do you think your biggest weakness is, and what have you done to address those?
We got to take care of the ball to have a shot. I mean, you can't play any games. It's a testament to our defense and fighting. We were still in the game, with 3 turnovers, the 3-0 and a turnover, man. I mean, that's the number one stat in football that goes through all of sport, all of levels. Pop Warner, high school, college, NFL, turnover margin. I mean, it's the one thing that's pretty succinct. It's always normally in the 80s, kind of in that range. If you win the turnover battle, you normally win the game. And so we got to do a better job of taking care of the football. Our communications got to get cleaner, on both sides of the ball. I thought our run game shored up early, after the first quarter. And so we got to improve on that because obviously we're playing a huge offensive line that I mean, Sarkeesian, yes, they throw the football, but they're really good at running the ball too. And so, pretty balanced team that can do a lot of things. Arch Manning is really athletic, and so you got to do a good job against the run game, which is, you know, like I said, I haven't heard back from the NCAA's petition if we can play with 13 defenders to try to stop them. Um, but yeah, it's going to be hard to stop the run game. But we got to take care of the ball to have a shot. I mean, and that's not just the players, that's the coaches. We got to do a better job, and I need to do a better job of making sure that's emphasized that that we value the football, and our guys think understand that. But hopefully, we learned a hard lesson, last week that when you lose a turnover battle, I mean, we take away the first turnover, I feel like we win that game. So, but you learn the hard way.
And then, what has the message or the guidance from the coaching staff been to help them bounce back mentally and prepare for this upcoming game?
Just go to work. I mean, we just been going to work. Came back, went to work. Looked at the film. I mean, it was hard to watch. It's like watching a horror movie. I mean, just like it's hard to watch because there's things you know you can get better at. But it's the first phase, and being honest in your assessment with coaches. I mean, I could have managed the clock way better at the end of the game, especially the second to last drive. You know what I mean? So it's not all on the players. I have to do a much better job of managing the clock. I've been in a lot of close games in my 17 years of being a head coach, and I have to do a better job of managing the clock. But yeah, we're all just got to get better, and we just press forward.
Hey, Coach, Lucas Quick with the Spear here. You mentioned taking care of the ball, but is there anything else specifically that you want to accomplish on Saturday for the rest of the nation to see?
Um, no, again, we're not really looking for this game for the rest of the nation. We just want to get better. I mean, we didn't feel like we played very well. I mean, I thought we settled down. The defense settled down after the first quarter, but we were off offensively. We were very sporadic, and I've seen our offense all summer camp and all spring. That wasn't us. You know what I mean? So just playing cleaner. To Central Michigan's credit, I mean they lined up differently than we thought. You know what I mean? And so we were preparing for other things. So we got to be ready for whatever Texas shows us on defense. Um, and on offense, like I said, they're going to be hard to defend. They do so many things, different personnel groupings, different formations, a lot of eye candy in the run game and in the pass game. Um, they do they with Archman you can do so many things. You can move him out of the pocket. He can throw from the pocket. He can have quarterback runs. He's a physical runner. He's not a quarterback that looks for the sideline. If he's running, you better brace for him. He's not going to slide. And if you think he's going to slide, he's going to run you over. So yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's more than one thing for us to get better at, but it has nothing to do for us to show the nation. We just got to get better for ourselves.
I think you touched upon this a little bit, but after that tough loss on Friday overall, how did you think the team has handled that since then?
We were hurting the next day in the meeting. You know what I mean? And I told him, if you're not hurting, you don't need to be here. I mean, this is hard. You invest so much time in this. Our kids are here a lot during the day. They're also college students that go to class. But the lifting, the running, the practices, the all that you have to sacrifice to be a Division I football player is hard. And so when you invest in something and you don't get the results, it's hard. It's hard for us coaches. I mean, it took me a while to get over that one, and I've been doing this a long time. But that was a super super hard loss. I mean, it's like somebody just puts a dagger in you. But our kids have bounced back. Our practice yesterday was okay, not great, but I thought it was much better today. So hopefully, we continue to have the best preparation we can to play against the best team that will play all year. I mean, that's not a secret. This is the best team we'll play all year, and hopefully we can be at our best.
Aaron Johnson with the Mercury News, and you mentioned Walker sending you the message after the tough loss, and just as a coach, just seeing that and how he's handled himself after, just what does that say about his character?
That gives me hope. The two things that I saw this weekend that gave me hope: the way our defense kept fighting. They just kept fighting. I mean, got put in a bad spot on that second turnover, and they just continued to battle. And then that last uh, stand after we missed that first field goal. That would have been easy to fold the tent, like we lost, and let them get first downs, and the game would have been over. I mean, our defense sold out there at the end to make them punt again, and then we had an opportunity to try another game-winning field goal, and so that was one. And then Walker's text just shows me that we have the right guy leading us. He took accountability for what he did and what he needs to get better. But like I said, hopefully myself, Coach Stutzmann, Coach Odum, and all the coaches, we take accountability of ourselves first before we point the finger at our players. Like, what could we have done better to help them? And yeah, he's had a great week, and um, I'm looking forward to him to being the version of Walker that I know that he can be.
And how do you feel like the team has handled the artificial crowd noise that you guys have been pumping in?
You try the best you can. I mean, it's hard to simulate 100,000 fans, yelling and so you just try the best you can to get ready for crowd noise. Everybody does it. Everybody has pipes and music on their speakers to try to do that, and you try your best. Hopefully, we won't have a ton of pre-snap penalties, which normally happens from crowd noise. Hopefully, you can communicate and be on the same page, which also happens from loud crowd noise. And we're just doing the best we can to prepare for that. And we'll see. We'll see Saturday how that works out.
And then, do you have any update on Malachi Riley availability for the rest of the season?
He's getting an MRI this week though, so we'll have a better indication.
Thank you.
How you doing, Coach? Nick Austin from Zeality. You said earlier that that Friday's loss was one of the worst losses of your career. But sort of flipping that on its head, is there any positives? You kind of just touched on it a little bit, but any positives you can take away from that game?
Yeah, I think our kid. The positive I took is like I was very pleased with, like I said, the way we continue to keep battling at the end. The positive was Walker's text. You know what I mean? Sometimes guys happen like, yeah, I played my best, but the O-line didn't protect me. He didn't mention any of the stuff where he got pressure and, maybe the other turnover happened because, we had some pressure and it knocked the ball out. Um, or sometimes maybe, the line missed their blocks and like, hey, yeah, that happened because the line didn't block guys. He just took accountability for himself. And so that's given me um, hope, for our team that our guys recognize that, hey, just take accountability for things. And um, the positive has been that our guys recognize, like, something I try to preach to them. It's hard to win. It is hard to win. And you got to work hard and do all you can and, look under every stone and make sure that you cover all your bases there and, dot your I's and cross your T's and make sure you're ready. And it still may not be enough. And it was eye opening for our guys because we've been working for months and they've been working hard. And they know they worked hard and we still lost. So I think the positive message I got to them is just recognize that you have to work. It's your only thing that gives you a chance. And then you just see what happens. But if you don't work, you're not detailed in what you do, and you don't pay attention to all the little things, you got no shot. So I'm hoping that the hard lesson that we learned from that game was all the things that we talk about in preparation are necessary and are essential to win football games.
Coach, anything to be said about it's an early start. I think it'd be pretty humid out there, even 80 degrees at 9 o'clock. Kind of like Hawaii weather, but any just thought about that early start? And
Yeah, I mean, we're, the start of the game, 11 will be 9 o'clock or 9 o'clock. And fortunately, that's when we practice. So hopefully, body clock wise, we'll be ready for that. They always have, like I said, I've been a head coach for a while, and I've heard all the things. If you go to certain time zones, then you go, a couple of days in advance. But then there's other thing that you can't really change your body clock in 48 hours. You got to go weeks in advance to change your body clock. So obviously we can't do that. And so we've tried to do things to try to get ready for that. Obviously we've got to try to stay hydrated and have a plan for hydration and cramps. Those are real things that happen. And so, yeah, we're prepared for it. We're preparing for it. but we'll see what happens. We're preparing for the noise. We're preparing for the different time that we're playing. We're playing for the heat. Not to mention the really, really good football team that we're playing. You know what I mean? You're preparing for the elements, but also the guys that you're trying to cover and the guys you're trying to block are really big and fast and strong and well coached. And so all of that combined makes it tough, but you just get ready for it. You try to do everything you can to get ready to be the best team that you can be on at kickoff.
Can you comment just on the strength conditioning, nutrition, that sort of unsung part of
Yeah.
the game, how important that is, how you just feel about that group in general, helping the team out?
Well, first off, I mean, just very, we've put most of our money that we've fundraised to our nutrition. Most people are putting it to early on. We're putting it to NIL or revenue sharing now. You know what I mean? And just so all of our stuff's in revenue sharing. That's another budget. But the money that we've tried to raise hasn't been for that. We're trying to feed our kids. I mean, that's who we are at San Jose State, and we feel really good that our guys are eating better than they've eaten in the past, which for us is a victory. And so we're excited about that. But I feel like New Tafisi and his staff, Antonio Leonard, Ben Stupe, and Shannon, our dietitian, they've done a really good job in just getting our guys ready. We lift every day, which is unique to, most people don't lift every day. And I feel like our guys are strong. Some of the injuries we had, we haven't had a lot of soft tissue injuries, which is a testament to them. Unfortunately, we had, we'll see what Malachi Riley's deal is. And so, but yeah, our a strength and conditioning program is everything in college football or in sports. It's one part of going out and performing, but being as strong as you can and as explosive as you can, and being in the best condition that you can, cardiovascular wise, is, I mean, being as flexible and as durable you can. That's all part of the game, and our people have done a phenomenal job on that.
How you doing, Coach? Nick from Ziality. I know to start the second half, we saw Tama come in the game for some packages, and you said after that, you said post game, you guys had some stuff ready for him.
Right.
Will we continue to see things like that going forward, and maybe not just specifically to this game against Texas, but for the season as a whole?
Yeah, I think so. He does a good job and brings a different, dimension to our offense. Brings some juice and energy, and he's got playmaking ability. So we'll definitely have packages for him every game, and how much of it is, it just kind of depends on how the game goes and how he's feeling and how he's looking that day.
And after sort of reviewing it with the guys and stuff, what did you see for the run game, and what do you hope to change in regards to the run game, maybe the pass blocking as well going forward?
Yeah, the biggest thing, I think we were, I think the word is shocked. We were shocked because all camp, I thought we did a really good job with our IDs and targeting and really just playing good football and clean. And that's what we talked about last week when I was up there, playing clean football. And that's what was shocking about it, going through the game and watching the film. But through the game, you could see it on the tablets that just our IDs weren't right. We weren't communicating great, and it led to a lot of missed opportunities. And so the discouraging thing was it was frustrating that night on Friday night. But the encouraging thing is we got a lot of football left to play, and our guys are hungry to get better. And I thought today's practice was the best that we had in a long time. Leading up to that game, there was about 3 or 4 practices that week that it looked pretty sloppy, and that's why the emphasis was cleaning things up and just getting the IDs right, playing hard, understanding what your role is, and just assignment football. And so getting back to it, and really we never left it, but putting more of an emphasis on, guess what, we don't have to do a lot of things. It's just do your job, and it starts with me. Just making sure that the standards is a standard and not letting it get by, in a sloppy way here and there. So that's the biggest point of emphasis: is just the IDs. Make sure we're all on the same page. Make sure we communicate, and then we can go from there. Yeah.
Aaron Johnson with the Mercury News, and Danny Scudero had a big game.
Mm-hmm.
Just what did you like from him, and what were you seeing on film? Just how he did so well.
Yeah, we had an idea. We were really excited about what he was able to do, And that's one of the guys that night that showed up and did what we had reasonable expectations for. And the hard thing is, and I know it may sound like coach speak, but when you flip on the film, my man probably should have had about 300 yards, and so those are some things that we got to get cleaned up so we can get him the football. And all those missed opportunities, we can't miss those, especially this week against a team like Texas, where it's going to be pretty slim pickings to get those big shots and those explosive plays. So we can't have those missed opportunities against Central Michigan. It ended up biting us in the butt, and we couldn't recover from that. With all that said, we still had a chance to win in the end. But at the same time, too, though, we got to play clean football. I feel and I know that when we play clean football and we do what we're supposed to do, we're going to be pretty unstoppable. So it's going to start this week of just playing clean football, get everything right, get our IDs right. Um, and then from there, we can go ahead and look at those plays. But yeah, Danny Scudero is a dog, man. I'm glad that he's on our team. I can't wait to see what he does this week, and I can't wait to see what he does going forward for the rest of the season.
Yeah. And then in the Central Michigan game, obviously the turnovers were big and the missed opportunities, like you said. But and then IDs. Is there just anything else that you just want to clean up in that moment too?
No, communication, but it's the three things, right? It's what your eyes see, okay, what it tells your brain and how your brain processes that information, and then your body being able to do that. And so there was a little bit of lag there and the lack of communication. But at the same time, too, though, starts with me. I got to get that thing cleaned up, and we got to make sure that those guys are doing that. And I thought today we got back to looking like the offense that we expected to be, and we're gonna be for the rest of the year. So. It would be a different story if we came off the practice field and I was like, "Oh my gosh, man!" My wife had a really good saying. So, I woke up Sunday morning and I still felt like crap. It still stung two mornings later, and she rolled over and she looked at me and she said, "Don't let Central Michigan beat you more than once." And so, after that, got able to get back up and the sun was rising and we're out there playing football again. So it's nice. It would be different if that was the last game of the year for sure.
And in your coaching career, have you ever prepared against the defense or like a team that's as high as ranked as Texas?
Yeah, in the past we played some really good teams. Some teams that's actually gone on to win the national championship when I was a GA Florida. But at the same time, too, though, that's a long time ago. These guys, I mean, gosh, they're big, they're fast, um, they're scary looking. But at the same time, too, though, you know, still playing football. And what an opportunity to go against probably the best team that we're going to see all year. And to play in that environment, something as prestigious as a place like that stadium, and play against the Texas Longhorns, a lot of people don't get those opportunities. And I'm blessed to have that opportunity. Our guys understand that opportunity. So we're going to make the most of it.
Hey, Coach, Lucas Quick with the Spear here. You kind of just touched upon just being able to have the opportunity to travel down to Austin and face a team like the Longhorns. How are you preparing your guys to head into a crowd like an SEC team has?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Ken is the best. I mean, he's got it all figured out. He's got it all, the plan and whatnot. So yesterday morning in the staff meeting, Coach was like, "Hey, is there anything else that any other ideas?" And I'm like, "Oh, Coach, are we going to have the speakers out?" He's like, "Believe me, we'll have speakers out." So we got the jumbotron at full blast, playing all kind of Texas songs, and then we got the speakers, like two big speakers right behind the huddle and all that stuff. So we're definitely practicing for the challenges more so than just the guys. The 11 guys that we got to play is a challenge enough. And then you're talking about over 100,000 people and Texas people. Texas, I mean, I spent time there coaching down in Texas. They know football, so they know to get loud when the opponent's offense is on the field. So we're doing all that stuff. We're doing silent cadences. We're practicing wristbands. We're practicing all these different things. So just giving us a chance to play clean is just being able to communicate and get those calls out and handle the crowd noise for sure.
And there was a couple of moments on Friday where it seemed like Eget was a little bit uncomfortable in the pocket. What can you help to fix that moving forward?
Yeah, just calm them down and just let them. Hey, we're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna throw picks. Like Nobody goes through a whole season being the starting quarterback, not throwing an interception. Unfortunately, the way that we threw it, that first one on the first drive, it's going to shake anybody up. And so I got to do a better job of just getting them out of that funk and just get them back in a rhythm. And he's going to be fine. There's some things that was uncharacteristic, but at the same time too, though, he's got to understand. Just do your job and don't worry about all those other things. Let me be the one to worry about stuff. You just go play the game and have fun. So.
Hey, Coach, Niles Hall with the Spear here. You said last week game had some miscommunication. How are you guys planning to address that?
Yeah, so just being able to slow the game down in terms of it doesn't have to happen so fast. Meaning you don't have to just see what the defense and just make calls and blurt it out. Just slow it down, take a deep breath. Make sure you communicate both ways. Just simple things that you take for granted sometimes. And I gave the analogy to the offensive line. I said, "Hey, listen, my niece, a year or two ago, she didn't talk a lot. You know what I mean? But she looked and she shook her head and she nodded. So you just look at them like, we good? No, not good. Talk, make eye contact. Some things we take for granted, in the game of football, as simple as those type of things. And everybody talks about going back to the basics. Well, that's just basic communication skills, and that's something that I overlooked. And so that was a point of emphasis to get that communication piece taken care of.
And then, what kind of message or guidance has the coaching staff giving to the team and to help them back, to help them bounce back and prepare for this upcoming matchup mentally?
Yeah, that was just one game, and that's like Coach said, that's not indicative of who we are and what we've been able to do for the last 8 months. Unfortunately, there was just a lot of things that happened that you're like, oh my gosh, it wasn't one thing, it was another. Um, but at the same time, too, though, just giving them confidence, understanding, like, guys, we're good, relax. We got 11 more games and hopefully more after that. So just take care of what you got to take care of. Worry about doing just your job and don't worry about, hey, what's the crowd noise going to be like? Hey, what's for dinner that night? Hey, what kind of socks are we wearing? Hey, what is the X doing on this one? Just worry about your job and be confident in what you're doing.
Any more questions for Coach? All right, Nick, final question.
Coach, I looking at Central Michigan, and they were
Hmm.
like dropping eight, and were just disguising a lot of coverages.
Yeah.
And how much is like for Walker or anybody really to look past that, or just the contingencies in their mind? Is it too much sometimes, or what contingencies do you give them in that sense?
Yeah, no, I think we try to prepare those guys for everything and anything because with this offense, you're going to see a lot of different things. I can almost certainly say that Central Michigan is not going to run that defense for a lot of the different guys that they're going to see. So they did a good job of preparing for us and giving different looks. But at the same time, too, though, those are some things that we got to be able to handle, and some things that on my side of my end of things, I probably should have given more of those defensive looks, but not overthinking things. That was the biggest thing for us today on offense. I told the guys, keep it simple. Don't overthink things. Okay. There's only so many things they could do in this front. There's only so many things they could do with this presentation on the back end. Don't worry about the what if, what if, what if. Worry about what's going on right now and just keep it simple. For a quarterback, if it's a premier look to do this, take advantage of it. If it's not, take care of the football and err on the side of caution, those type of things. And so, going back to the keep it simple, don't overthink things, trust what your eyes see, let it tell your brain, and let your brain tell your body how to react to that. And I thought today we were able to do that better than we did in the last 2 weeks, and that's why today was a really good practice for us on offense.
Nick Urias with KSJS. Coach, I'm just curious about going into a hostile environment out there in Austin, Texas this week. You guys are going to be playing a pretty prolific opponent out there. Just the level of excitement and focus for this one this weekend.
Yeah, no, I think the guys are looking forward to get in that environment and see what that's all about. 100,000 fans, and I think they'll be a little quiet when we're out there on on the field because their offense will be there out there. But yeah, it should be a great environment. College football is all about, and I think they're excited.
And then, just the Texas Longhorns offense. Obviously, Arch Manning at quarterback, but, just personnel-wise, just what do you see the challenges for them on that end? They got, wide receivers, tight ends. Obviously, the line of scrimmage will be crucial in this one. Just
Yeah, they got a lot of good players, that's for sure. So, yeah, they're loaded. I mean, they got all Americans everywhere. The offensive line is big and strong. They got two guys that are 6'7", 330 pounds. They got two really good tight ends. Their backs are great, and obviously the Heisman candidate at quarterback, along with the wide receivers they have. So they're a formidable outfit, and we're working to kind of prepare for those guys right now, and we'll see what happens on Saturday. Yeah, they're good.
Hi, Coach. Nick from Ziality. Um, Last week before the game, I asked you about your third down defense and how you guys improved on it over the offseason. It was clearly very improved in the game against Central Michigan. What do you think went into that, and how do you hope to keep that sort of same level of third down defense going into
Yeah,
the
no, it
rest
was
of the games?
like I said last week. It was a big emphasis. Looking at all our stuff from last year and what we can improve on, and that was a big emphasis going into this year. Again, just practicing it constantly, putting in front of them in our practice, preparation, third down situations, a lot, and just having those guys compete and just understand that we got to get off the field. And I think they were like 2 of 13, which is really good, and to start off the season. And now we got to keep that momentum going. We're gonna, again, a really formidable outfit that we're going to face, and so it's going to be an even bigger challenge, this weekend. But I think the guys are excited to see what they can do. Yeah.
Aaron Johnson with the Mercury News, and just what was in the Central Michigan game? What was your assessment of the battle in the trenches between for your linebackers and your D line against Central Michigan?
Yeah, that was like I said, we really didn't know what to expect in that first game because they had staffs coming from different places, and so I knew that first couple drives were going to be a feeling out and see what they're all about. Well, we didn't think they were going to come in 13 and 14 personnel, heavy, more. They were in their goal line package in the middle of the field, and so that took a little bit of adjustment, especially in that first quarter. But after that, and then we kind of settled in a little bit, and it was a really, I was really proud of those guys up front because they got hit. It was kind of one of those standing 8 counts early, like, whoa, man, and they shake out the cobwebs, and they came back and started fighting a little bit, and so really proud of that with those guys up front. With Nafa and Q and Vili, all those guys that rotated in there, all those guys were like on point and really stepped up and battled. And I was really proud of that because they got tested, and that was a physical group that we faced.
And then also, your defense made some stops on some short fields, holding them three a few times. Then the fourth and goal. Also, just what did you like from there?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, again, we put ourselves in position to have a chance to win the game, and that's all we can do. The fourth down stop was big. I mean, huge at the time, and I was really proud of that last drive of the game too, to give ourselves one more chance to try to kick a field goal to win it. And so, it just showed a lot of grit and moxie out of those guys. And again, in the first game, you just don't know what you have until you play somebody. And I really liked what we saw out of that group as far as that toughness and grittiness that we all want. But again, that's one game, and we got another challenge, coming up this weekend.
Hey, Coach, Lucas Quick with the Spear here. Despite you guys facing a high-ranked team, is there anywhere on your defense where you can take advantage and thrive on against Texas?
I mean, well, I think it's the part that the guys are really excited about seeing how they compare against a team like that. You know what I mean? You want to play against the best people in the country, and they're going to do that this Saturday. So as a competitor, you look forward to being in a situation like that and see where how you match up. And so I think that's those guys are excited about to see where they fit in the big landscape of college football, Division I football. And so but it's going to be a huge challenge, there's no question. I mean, they especially at home, they don't lose over there. And so it's going to be a hostile environment. They understand that, and I think they're just excited to see how they compare going forward against a good team like that.
And this will be the first time that the Spartans will be televised on ABC in 19 years. So can you explain the importance of guys like Pollard and just everyone on the team in general to finally showcase their talents to a nationwide audience against Texas?
Yeah, it's really cool for those guys. I mean, again, I think they're really excited to just be involved in an environment like that. Obviously, national television. There's some other games that we've been on national TV, maybe not ABC, but ESPN and such that are still nationally broadcast games. But I think they're just not so much that part of it. I think they just want to see how they compare against the best of the best, and that's, as a competitor, that's what you want to see. And so I think they're just excited to do that.
Hey, Coach, Niles with the Spear here. You've been coaching SJC for a long time. Do you ever remember preparing for a team this talented? If so, who?
Let's see. Well, Arkansas was really talented. Auburn was really talented. Oregon was really talented. Justin Herbert was throwing the ball all over the place. We faced some really good teams. This is another one that's really talented. I don't think it's highly ranked, though, for sure. I mean, these guys were number one in the country. I don't know what the latest is, but they're all of that. So since I've been here, probably this is the most highly ranked team that we faced.
And then after looking at last week's tape, where do you think the biggest weakness is, and how do you think you plan to address them this week?
Well, I think that just early on in that game, just like the physicality that came at them, that I don't think they were really, all the way ready for. But then they changed and they got into that game and finished it the right way. So we didn't really get tested in the throw game, because they were just running the ball so much. So that part we don't know just yet. But I just felt like we ended up matching and really bowing our necks a little bit when it started to run the ball at us a little bit. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see moving forward.
And then as a coaching staff, will you do anything different to prepare you guys for this matchup?
No, I mean, we do the same routine. It doesn't matter who we're playing. Like, it's a clockwork. We work on different parts and we present different things to the guys each day of the week. And it doesn't matter who's across from us. It's the same routine. So it's not all of a sudden now we put more time into somebody and less time. It doesn't work like that. It's the same every week, consistent. It's just the person across from you might be a different colored jersey. That's about it. Yeah.
I was listening to the radio call while I was watching the game yesterday, and Jordan Cobbs is on it now. And then he mentioned that you were fired up on the sideline after a big 3-and-out you guys got, and he said Coach Derrick Odum loves the 3-and-out. So I just was curious, is that what gets you the most hype on the defensive side, or is it a big turnover?
Obviously, I love a turnover because we're getting the ball back to our offense and they have a chance to go score. But 3-and-out is big because it's tough. I mean, it really is. It's hard to. These offenses are really sophisticated. They do a lot of different things, and you have to prepare. Like, each offense each week is so unique in what they do, and so it's a challenge every single week. And so if you can get a team to get off the field in 3 downs, that's a win. And so we really pride ourselves on that, and we're striving for that every single possession is to get off the field as quickly as possible. And 3-and-out is the second best, I guess. A turnover to be number one. But yeah, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal because, again, last year we weren't as efficient in that area as we'd like. A lot of it has to do with being successful on early downs, so you can have a little longer, third down situation where it tends to be more in defensive favor. But yeah, it's a big deal. 3-and-out is big.